Yeah, hi there everybody at YouTube, and I am Michael Buckoff, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-Step System to Pass the TOEFL iBT. And hello everybody, it is January 19th, 2017, and I have a very important, very small grammar lesson I want to share with you guys. So, obviously during the TOEFL exam you have the speaking and the writing sections, and by the way, if you want a good TOEFL course, if you want to be able to post speaking and writing practice tests and get feedback, you can definitely join my online TOEFL course. Just click on the link that you see in the video here. It'll say 26, 24, speaking 26, writing 24. Click on that link. It'll take you to my website. All right? So obviously during the speaking and the writing sections, you want to have good control over your language. That means you want to have good vocabulary and you want to have good grammar. So today I want to talk about 4 different kinds of words. I'm going to refer to them as prepositions, coordinators, subordinators, and transition words. Now, when you're using these different kinds of words in your speaking and writing, and you should be using these words in order to show how your ideas are connected, there are very specific grammatical structures that you need to use for each of these words. You see what I'm saying? Okay, now what I want to do is I'm going to go to a little presentation. I want to do a little screen capture here. Okay, hold on a minute. Let me make this smaller. Let's put this over here. So let's put Michael in the corner. How about that? Okay, now, and let's get to our screen capture here. Can we make it any bigger? And we don't even need my picture, do we? All right? Okay, now, can you guys see this? All right, let's talk about prepositions first. We have, and I'm giving you 4 specific words that pretty much have similar meanings. So let's take a look. Despite, but, although, and however. Now what you want to do is you should go to Google and get a list of prepositions. Go to Google, get a list of coordinators. Make sure you have a good list. And go to Google, get a list of subordinators, and here to help you, we have 3 different kinds of subordinating conjunctions. I'm going to refer to them as adverb clause connectors, adjective clause connectors, and noun clause connectors. And then we have transition words like this, right? So now I'm going to show you the kind of grammar that is you want to use with each of these connector words. Right? So usually despite plus a noun or noun phrase, we will say, right? No, but plus subject plus verb. That's the kind of grammar it uses. Now, although plus subject plus verb, maybe you'll have a comma, you'll have another subject and another verb there. Now you can also say subject plus verb and then although plus subject plus verb. You could do it that way. So I just wanted to get comfortable. Now transition words, usually you'll put a comma right after the word and you'll put a subject and then you'll have a verb there. Right? So now let's take a look at some sample sentences that will demonstrate how this particular grammar works. Remember that my advice is go to Google, make sure you get a list of prepositions, get a list of coordinators, get a list of subordinators, and get a good list of transition words. Now at my website, in my online TOEFL course, I provide these lists for my online TOEFL course students. I want them to have it, they study it, and they use these words in their speaking and writing. And part of my job as their TOEFL iBT writing and speaking specialist is to listen to their speaking tasks, to read their writing, and see how well they're doing, not just with grammar vocabulary, but also I pay attention to delivery, topic development, and a host of other things, right? So let's look at the first one. So let's say despite the rain, the soccer game was not canceled. Okay, so let's make this green so we can see how each of these are actually used. So notice I put despite plus a noun phrase. Despite the rain, the soccer game was not canceled. Now in this one, I might say this. It rained, but the soccer game was not canceled. See how this one works? So I put it rained, and the comma is optional because the first independent clause is relatively short. You don't need it. But we're using, the main thing is, but we have it rained, but the soccer game was not canceled. In this case, we have but plus subject plus verb, and in longer independent clauses, we'll usually use a comma. Now, we go to the next one. Maybe we'll make this green so we can kind of compare them. Okay, let's go to one more. So we go to subordinators, right? You can probably guess what I'm going to say here. Although it rained, the soccer game was not canceled. You see that? So in this case, I'm using although plus a subject and a verb, and then after that, that's when I state the independent clause part of the sentence. Then the last one, it's a little bit tricky. So I could take this, let's say I copy it, and this is kind of how you would see it. It rained, maybe, you can put here semicolon, however, the soccer game was not canceled. Now pay attention here. You got two choices after rain. You can put a period, or you can put a semicolon. If you put a semicolon, you're trying to imply there's a close relationship between the ideas in the sentence, or the two sentences, am I right? So that's how it works. Now the main thing I'm wanting you to know is these different kinds of words, prepositions first of all, right? Despite the rain, the soccer game was not canceled. This uses a very specific type of grammar here. Coordinators, we use these to create compound sentences. We have a subject and a verb here. Then we have but, another subject and another verb. Subordinators are used in complex sentences. Although it rained, that's considered an adverb clause connector. It's also considered a dependent clause. And the main part of the sentence is the soccer game was not canceled, right? And then transition words, we typically use these to connect two separate sentences together. So, to conclude my video, just be careful when you're doing speaking and writing tasks for the TOEFL iBT. You have prepositions, coordinators, subordinators, and transition words. Make sure you know what kinds of words they are, in which category they fit, and then you can identify what type of grammar you need to use in order to connect those ideas together. Right? So let me give you some more examples of prepositions here. How about due to? Right? How about, you might say over or under. These would be considered prepositions. Words like to, words like in. How about this one? Because of, right? Now, if you look at coordinators, there are not very many. We have so, we have for, used in a very formal sense. We have yet, we have and, we have but, right? These are considered coordinating conjunctions. Subordinators, wow. Typically, there's a lot of these kinds of words. How about whereas? How about even though? How about if? How about who? How about whose and so on? These would all be considered subordinated conjunctions, and guess what? They all follow this type of grammar. The last one, we have transition words. We have many types. I have a lot of my TOEFL students, they're masters at using transition words. You have words like therefore, you have so, we have on the other hand, we have then, we have next, we have first of all, we have second of all, and so on. And these are all examples of what we call transition words, right? Now, specifically, if you're using these kinds of words, typically you're connecting two separate sentences together. That's pretty much how they work. And that's it. So remember, as you're putting together your TOEFL speaking and writing tasks, and I highly recommend that you do this, if you do need an online TOEFL course, go to onlinetoeflcourse.com. You can learn about my course, and guess what? You can send me speaking and writing practice every day, but remember my rule, you can only send me one speaking practice test, only one writing practice test, and I will tell you as you're doing your practice if you have any grammatical issues, right? I'll also tell you with your speaking if you have any pronunciation issues or any other problems that might be bringing your score down. All right, so I hope today that you guys at YouTube have enjoyed this live stream video about these specific words, prepositions, coordinators, subordinators, and transition words.